All right. Hello and welcome to the Aspiring Women Achieving More Masterclass series. Today, I am super excited to meet. I think we're kind of acquaintances, but I feel like I know everything
Yes.
about you, having only met you in person once because COVID. My friends from the internet and otherwise, Jacki Dalsimer. Jacki, thanks for joining us today.
Yes, I'm super excited to be here. Really looking forward to talk with you ladies today.
Today, Jacki's going to talk with us about some tips and tricks and health hacks, and she's really big on habits. So that's one of the reasons that I look to her so much. So, Jacki, why don't you take us away?
All right. So welcome everyone. Thank you very much for popping on here today. And I'm going to share my screen with you. All right. So as Mandy said, my name's Jacki Dalsimer, and I would absolutely love to connect with all of you today. So you can easily find me on Facebook. Just search for my name and you'll find me. And you can go through my news feed. I share lots of tips and suggestions and just different random things related mostly to health. So please connect with me there. And as Mandy said, I am a health coach. I actually run a virtual health coaching practice. So what I do is not only do I coach clients individually, but I also help a team of coaches who are also coaching clients. So we have a sort of large team of people that we're all virtual, and it's really neat, especially since COVID. Um, we started doing this prior to COVID, but COVID really kind of got people a lot more comfortable with virtual world, with Zooms and whatnot. So I'm going to go ahead and begin. And basically, the first thing I'm going to talk to you about are health hacks. And one of the reasons that I think this is just so important for us as women is that we wear so many different hats. We have so many different roles. We are working, we're moms, we're sisters, we're daughters, and that requires a lot of energy. And if you're on here, you're in the Aspiring Women, Achieving Women group. So obviously you are aspiring to be better or aspiring to achieve. And with that, along with all the other roles that you have, you're going to need your energy. And the best way to improve your energy so that you can really achieve all the things that you want to achieve, so you can get through those to-do lists on a daily basis, you absolutely have to take care of your health. So as a health coach, I cover 6 macro habits of health. Those are the large habits that each one of these, you may be good in one area, not so good in another area, or you may be average in all areas. But if you make little improvements in any of these 6 areas, you're going to improve your energy and therefore your productivity and likelihood of achieving those goals and dreams that you have, that I know you have. The first one is weight management. So managing our weight is very important for many reasons, health reasons related to lifestyle related diseases like high blood pressure, diabetes, things like that, but also, our physical stress throughout the day. Eating and hydration. So I'm going to go over some tips for eating and hydration, motion, sleep. That's one of my favorites that I've been working on for the past probably 2 years. Always room for improvement there. Healthy mind. And last but not least, healthy surroundings. So a lot of times when people think about health, they automatically just think of like eating and hydration and exercise, but there's really more behind that. So let's dive in and look at weight management. So when it comes to weight management, there are 3 areas that you want to look at to make sure you're maintaining a healthy weight. And the first one is your body mass index. And this is really just a ratio of your height to weight, and then determines whether you're at a healthy weight. Now, to do this, you can just Google BMI calculator, and you can plug in your height and your weight and get a number of reading like immediately. Okay, now BMI is a little bit, some people say, well, you know, I'm outside of my BMI because I have a lot of muscle, and that can be true. So we don't want to just focus on BMI. The other thing that you want to look at is waist circumference. So men should be less than 37. I put the men in here just in case a guy showed up. But women less than 31 and a half. And really what that tells us is, you know, most people, when they carry weight in their abdominal or their waist area, even people that, you know, may look thin, can have be carrying weight in their waist. And that is mainly that visceral fat, which is really not surrounding our organs, which is very dangerous. So these are some areas. And then body fat range. Now, I kind of guessed the age range. If you are less than 40, which I'm 45, so I kind of picked my window there. The percentages aren't much different. Now, body fat is a tricky one because it's really hard to accurately measure your body fat without some fancy machine that you most likely have to go to a gym. The scales that you buy that you have in your home that tell you your body fat, a lot of them you can get on in the morning and then again in the evening, and your body fat percentage will change like 10%. And that's just not true. Your weight may go up, but your body fat is not. All right. So these are the areas that you want to maintain. All right. Now, to do that, the habit of eating and hydration is important. So I'm not going to dive into a lot of details about, you know, specifics on what you should be eating when and all of that, but I'm just going to give you some basic habits. But before we do that, I'd love to hear, like, on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel your nutrition rates? I don't know. Can I see the comments? I can't see the comments. I forgot.
Go down to the chat. Can you go down to chat here?
Let's see. Oh, I see. Okay. All right. So we've got a lot of people that are 8s and 7s. So that's really good. So as I go over these habits, I want you to just make note of any of the ones that you feel might be an area that you're not really doing as well in. So the first one is, let's just put that down, is, it should move. You want to eat every 3 hours. Okay. So a lot of people, you know, talk about intermittent fasting, and that's a big buzz right now. And intermittent fasting is really more something that people are doing for weight loss. And that is not the same as what you do for weight management. So fueling every 3 hours is something that just helps to keep your energy stable, but most importantly, really helps your blood sugar levels, which are, when they dip, that's when we start feeling fatigue, even a little depressed. And then as the levels start going back up, it can become an anxious state before they stabilize. So fueling every 3 hours helps with that. Eating breakfast is another one that really helps just kind of kick that metabolism up and get you started for the day to give you that energy that you need. A lot of people tend to wake up in the morning and just kind of be in a rush to get out the door, to get started with their day, and skip this meal, but it is a great way to start your day. And making healthy food choices. So the best thing that I can say for this is, you want to really start being aware of the nutrition facts of the food that you're consuming and the portion sizes. Portion sizes are probably, when I work with people, the hardest thing for people is to get that portion size correctly so it matches their goals. Eating low glycemic foods. So whether you're having proteins, carbs, you want to kind of start being aware of what low glycemic foods are. And this is another topic that if you're not sure about it, that I highly recommend that you start learning about. It really is a principle that helps you to feel more satisfied. If you are someone that really craves like carbs that are like pretzels and popcorn and breads and those like simple sugars, those are high glycemic type foods. What they do to our blood sugar level is spikes them up. And then eventually we have a crash. And that crash, again, is where I was talking before about where we feel fatigued, tired, a little bit of a depressed state. And that's not something we want to feel. So whether you're looking at fruits or vegetables, you want to look for low glycemic. And there are plenty of resources out there to help you. For example, a vegetable like a potato versus broccoli. You really want to go with the broccoli. That would be more low glycemic. That would be a lower glycemic food than the potato. Or even sometimes people don't realize things like Brussels sprouts and onions and edamame, carrots. These are higher on the glycemic index, which are going to really impact our energy levels throughout the day. Planning your meals is huge. Most of us are really disciplined with our daily schedules. We have morning routines built in. We block time for the things that we have to do on a daily basis, for the things that are important to us. But a lot of times people get up and they have no idea what their food is going to look like for the day until that time comes when they're hungry. And then it's just about grabbing for things. So you want to really look at your day and think about how you can get your foods every 3 hours in your day. If you know you're going to be running errands at that time, it doesn't mean that you're going to skip that. It means you've got to prepare ahead of time to either have something with you or know where you're going to stop that's going to have some healthy options. And also just planning out your dinners for a week. If you just started there, that would be good, so that you foods, you have the groceries on hand, and when it's time to prepare them, you already have everything you need. So planning is very important. And then just with the hydration, this is something that I really had no idea how important it was about 3 years ago. And I did this challenge where I was going to drink 64 ounces of water a day for 30 days straight. And I was like blown away after the first week by how much better I felt just by drinking water. So again, you've got to plan and prepare for that. Have water bottles, have ways that you know you're going to get that in. Even if it's just when you wake up in the morning before you do anything, you're going to drink like 20 ounces of water. That hydration is important. So now eating and hydration were probably things that you would assume that I would be talking about when it comes to health, but let's go into, oh, where'd it go? It says the screen sharing is paused. New share, I'll try a new share.
I can see your screen. Maybe
you
unshare
can?
and reshare? Yes, ma'am.
All right, good. Then it's not. So you see that I'm trying to share it again. So you see the word motion?
No, I don't. Here, hold on. Maybe you can see here.
I'm going to do the stop share and then I'll just try it again.
Perfect. There you go. Try that out.
All right. Share screen.
No problems, only solutions.
That's
and also,
right.
does anybody else find themselves chugging water right now? Because I know I am.
It's always good. All right. So motion. When it comes to motion, your activity throughout the day, let's put in the chat how you would rate your motion on a scale of 1 to 10 again. Nice. So when we talk about motion, so we have people all over. Some people is in 3s, Julie at 10. You must never sit still. That's a lot like me. So motion, when I talk about motion with my clients, there are 2 types of motion: non-exercise activity thermogenesis and exercise activity thermogenesis. So you may be getting more motion than you think, because what most people think of when they think of motion is exercising, and exercising is the exercise activity thermogenesis. And they don't really think much about the non-exercise activity motion that they could be doing throughout the day. So I'm going to go through NEAT, which is the non-exercise activity thermogenesis. And just, these are things that you can do throughout your day. And you definitely need to have some sort of cue, especially I find that working from home and being on the computer, being in Zoom calls, it's really easy to find myself sitting for 2-3 hours at a time. So things that you can work on even while you're sitting. And I'm going to like watch everybody now. Number 1 is your stance. There you go, Mandy. So if we sit up tall, we can actually engage our core while sitting. So sometimes people sit and they have like a lower, like their lower back kind of has a curve in it. You want to kind of draw your belly button in like you're buttoning a pair of tight pants, so that you take that curve out and just bring the shoulders back and down. You're using your muscles to stabilize your spine. And that is actually non-exercise activity. So when we slouch and we don't engage our core when sitting, that is less motion. So keep that in mind. That's something you can do when you're seated. If you're standing in line, think about your posture. And I can't even believe I'm saying this, because I remember teachers telling me, sit up straight, sit up straight. And it was like, what's the big deal? But it is. All right. So standing, anytime you can stand. So sometimes I just kind of stand up during meetings, change my camera so that I can stand. So if you have an iPhone or an iWatch, or the watches, I don't know what they call them, but mine has a setting that tells me to stand. I actually have a goal to stand 12 times, 12 hours for 1 minute every hour, 12 times throughout the day. So make sure you're getting up. Strolling, anytime you can take a call, put your AirPods in and walk and talk. That is great. Any chance that you get when you do stand up, if you know you're not on a Zoom or working, to just start walking around. And I admit that during COVID, there would be times that I would be walking in circles around my kitchen with my AirPods in. So just strolling, taking stairs any chance you can versus the elevators. samba. So that's really like just kind of moving back and forth. Even like while you're sitting, you can be tapping your foot and moving so that you're getting some motion in. And the last one is switch. So for this one, this is switch the way you do things. Like a lot of the appliances we have these days make it so that we can be more sedentary. So start doing things by hand, you know, like washing dishes instead of just putting them in the dishwasher, or sweeping the floor so that you're getting more movement. So just, or even, you know, instead of buying vegetables already pre-cut, where you actually have to cut them up. So things that, these are all things where you can get more motion in your day. And that is very important. So we don't always have to think that just because we're not hitting the gym, that we're not getting motion in. We can do this throughout our days. But let's look at EAT. This is the exercise activity thermogenesis. And basically, this is, you know, planned exercise. And a lot of times people think that it needs to be something like going to the gym and absolutely killing it, or going to CrossFit or a spin class or some strength training class. And really, it does not need to be that intense. You want to aim for 150 minutes of moderate intensity exercise per week. So that could be 30 minutes, 5 times a week. It could be, you know, an hour twice a week and a half hour once a week. And moderate intensity means that as you're performing that activity, you can still talk. You would have to pause in the middle of sentences so that you could kind of catch your breath, but you're not so winded that you can't even say anything, okay? I remember when I first took a spin class, before I taught them, I remember thinking like, how does the instructor talk while she's doing this class? And so you know, moderate intensity. So this could just be a brisk walk, getting out and getting in a fast-paced walk. That could be what your planned exercise is. You also want to strength train. This is so important. As we age, our muscles are atrophying. And if we don't engage them on a regular basis, we will lose them. So you want to hit your full body at least 2 times per week so that you're engaging all major muscle groups at least twice per week. And the last one is flexibility training, stretching, yoga. You want to get this in pretty much daily, all right? Things that I've noticed that from working on a computer, I've noticed like my shoulders kind of come forward and my chest muscles get tighter, then the back muscles are getting weaker because they're not being used as often. So I've really worked on stretching the chest muscles, which can easily be done just by putting your hand like on a doorway and then leaning into it to stretch those out. So you want to make sure you're stretching on a daily basis. All right. So that is our motion. Now this one, sleep. Sleep is really, really important. Most people that I talk to, when I ask them about this, they're like, oh, well, I only sleep 5-6 hours at a time. And a lot of people think that, you know, just like I thought that it was okay that I didn't drink water all day, like, why would it be much better? If you don't regularly get 7 to 8 hours, I'm telling you, if you start doing that, you're going to see an increase in your energy levels. Now, in order to get really good sleep, There are some things that I'm going to share with you that I recommend doing just if you are finding that you're someone that wakes up a lot throughout the night. You're not even when you are, you could be in bed for 8 hours, but you're not really sleeping for 8 hours. You're restless and you're waking up and feeling tired. These are some things that you want to think about. These are some curfews. So 8 hours before you go to sleep. And you should always kind of map that out based on knowing what time you need to wake up the next morning. Backtrack it 7, 8 hours. That's where you want to sleep. But 8 hours prior to that, you want to cut out coffee. All right. Anything really high in caffeine, you want to cut out because that could be interrupting your sleep. Exercise. 4 hours prior to going to sleep, you should not be doing any heavy exercising. Now, those NEAT activities that we talked about, that's different, but any planned exercise, you want to cut that out 4 hours before you go to sleep, which, a lot of people I know are finding that they do it in the evening, and that really can interrupt your ability to go to sleep. I find that after I work out, I have this extra energy for a little bit post-workout and can't sleep. So you want to cut that out. 3 hours before bedtime, you want to cut out alcohol and heavy meals. And I really want to put emphasis on the heavy meals because some people think that eating after like 6 o'clock, say, is just the worst thing you can do. And it's really not. It's the 3 hours before bed, and it's heavy meals. Like if you just have a little, like a light snack of like a string cheese or a Greek yogurt or something small like that, that's not going to impact your sleep. All right. But if you were to have like Taco Tuesday right before you went to bed, that would not be a good thing. All right, that would interrupt your sleep. Now, this one is the one that I struggle with. The 2 hours before bed, work and serious conversations, cut them out because they will play through in your mind as you're trying to sleep. And the last one, an hour before, is that digital sunset. You want to cut off your time from your phone, from your computers, from television, because that will impact your sleep as well. So those are 5 things that you can create as curfews that will help improve the quality of sleep that you're getting. All right, so that was 3 of our macro habits. The next one is healthy mind. And I have 2 different triangles up here for healthy mind. And it's really kind of the way we view life and what we think about. So we either are in a drama triangle or an empowerment triangle. If we're in a drama triangle, then we are feeling like things are being done to us. It's not fair. We blame other things, other people for whatever's going on. Or even if we're someone that thinks that we need to show up and save the day and be the hero all the time, because that's really a way that you're enabling people. So that's our drama triangle. But we want to shift our mindset whenever we catch ourselves either playing the victim, playing the villain, or the hero. We want to shift that and realize that we are in charge of what's happening to us and that we are creating our lives. So we're creators. We are empowering people. This was something that when I switched from being a personal trainer to a health coach that I really learned the difference of. As a personal trainer, people came to me, and when they were with me, they would work out. And I really wasn't giving them tools so that they could do it on their own. So now as a health coach, it's more about empowering people, giving people tools that make it easy for them to achieve whatever it is that they are working on. So we like to empower people instead of being that hero trying to save the day. And then staying open, curious, and ready to learn, looking at obstacles as a way to grow. And this kind of gets into what we call above the line and below the line thinking. If we're above the line, we're open, we're curious, we're looking to grow. If we're below the line, we're standoffish. We already know everything. You can't tell me anything. And a lot of times this could go with like a fixed mindset versus a growth mindset. So we want to really protect the way we view the world. So that's our healthy mind. And surroundings is our next one. And these are the people, places, and things. And really, as I said in the beginning, we think about health and we think about our nutrition and our hydration and our exercise, but we don't really look at the people in our lives. Like when you are around somebody, is this somebody that brings out positivity in you? Or do you feel that when you're around this person, you're getting a lot of negative feelings, and it's, are they in the drama triangle and you're trying to be in this empowering state? So you really have to protect the people that you allow into your space and your time, and the places that you go. If you are trying to work on your nutrition, you're not going to go to Five Guys or some fast food restaurant. That's not going to be supportive of your goals. And even the things, especially the things that we watch on TV, the books that we read, we've got to make sure that we're kind of protecting what's going into our minds. All right, so I think that we have the last part that I want to talk to you about. So we just went over those areas that we can improve upon. So I've got a little bit of a challenge for you before we get to, if you have any questions that you want to ask me. A little challenge for you is you're going to take one of these habits that we talked about today and just choose one, because when we try to fix everything all at once, it's cognitive overload and nothing gets done. So just pick one of them, and we're going to create a structural tension chart. All right, and then you're going to commit to it for 30 days. So here's what a structural tension chart looks like. And I think the hardest part is the current reality. And that's because it requires you to get brutally honest with yourself about what your current reality is. Not on one day out of the week, but what are you consistently doing every day, day in and day out, that is part of that. So for your, eating and hydration, you may just be eating, you may eat more meals in one day, like Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday, but by Thursday and Friday, you're just getting through the day. You might be down to only 1 or 2 meals a day. It's more about that consistency. What can you do consistently? So from there, the next thing that you look at is that desired reality. All right. So where do you want to be? What does that look like? And get really clear on what that looks like. And then you go to the secondary choices. So your desired reality is your primary choice. That's what you're trying to get to. Now, these secondary choices are the things that I talked about, like for the sleep. You may decide that you want to incorporate those different curfews and that you're going to choose to steer clear of alcohol and exercise and the coffee at the given times that we discussed. So you're going to put those into your secondary choices and commit to what they are. Now, do not go crazy and put a lot in that secondary choice. You want to think in terms of micro habits. What are the things that you know you can do every single day without fail. Okay. If you're only eating 1 to 2 meals per day right now, and you want to get to those smaller meals more frequently, eating every 3 hours, you may just start with trying to get in every, 4 hours so that you're getting 3 or 4 meals per day. Break it down so that it's something that whether you're motivated or not, you can do it. So for exercise, for example, a lot of people are like, oh, I'm going to go to the gym 5 days a week and I'm going to do this. And, then it happens and you can't stick to that. And then most people just give up on it. But if you say, I'm going to pack my gym bag every day for the week, that may be the one thing that you can do. And if you do more and you actually go to the gym or you do your exercise, that's a win. So find what that secondary choice could be that you can commit to every single day without motivation, because motivation doesn't always last. We got to keep building it. So that's what I have for you today. And I know personally that whenever people ask me, how I maintain my energy level and how I get as much as I do done in one day, this is what I attribute it to, is taking care of these 6 macro habits and taking care of my health first, because without it, I can't have the energy to be productive. So hopefully that gives you some ammunition so that you can start making little tweaks in your daily life so that you can improve your energy, so you can reach those goals and dreams that you're striving for. So now I'd love to just kind of open it up to any questions.
Awesome. Would you mind stopping the screen share?
Sure.
Is that structural tension thing, is that something that you could provide an example on the community?
Yes.
Or something that I could attach to the video here for anybody who could make it? That is huge. Yeah. And I hereby commit to drinking more water, Jacki.
Yes.
Thank you. Very cool. So while we've got the expert here on the line, does anybody have any questions for her? Just go ahead and unmute and give her the quick question.
I have a question about sleep. What kind of things do you normally do beforehand in order to induce sleep, but not so much that I oversleep the next day?
Yeah, I think that those curfews are really important, but also doing things like, in the evening, having an evening routine where you may, when you cut off your phone, dimming lights around the house, lighting candles, and, instead of looking at your phone, actually get a book and read. So you have some sort of nighttime routine that doesn't involve, it could be that you take a hot bath, dim the lights, light some candles, and just decompress from the day. Another big thing is journaling. I think if you take time at the end of the day to reflect on what you've accomplished, celebrate some of your wins throughout the day, that is definitely helpful. And scheduling your day the night before is also helpful, because if you're thinking about what you're going to be doing the next day, then that's, going to cause you to lose sleep. If you just write it down and then you're like, oh, I know what I've got to do.
Mm-hmm. I love that. My favorite piece of all of this is that if you try to do everything, you're going to cognitive overload. And if you have too many priorities, you have no damn priorities, right? So if Divine, I'll tell you, Ariana Huffington wrote an incredible book specifically on sleep. She calls it her greatest performance enhancer. I absolutely loved it. And I started tweaking I treated it like an experiment. All of this health stuff, the more I treat it like an experiment, the easier it is to attack one thing at a time, because you can only manage what you can measure. my little watch got me, it has an app on it for, you know, sleep.
Breathing.
And that's been so helpful because I know when I get into deep sleep, I know when whatever's happening the way I want it to happen. And for me, Epsom salt baths knock me the heck out. And I only know that because I measured it, you know? So love it.
Yes.
What else you guys got? Well, super cool. I do have one question for you. With kind of this whole breadth, and you coach hundreds of clients, and your coaches that you coach even more, right? So generally speaking, is there one or two top spots that, you know, if let's say all of these things deserve my attention, like I'm not a 10 or a 9 or an 8 on any one of these things. Do you see success with any one specific spot that this is maybe the one to pay the most attention to first?
You know, that is really an individual choice.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I would look at the 6 areas that we just talked about today and think about, you know, what are you willing to work on? Just pick one that you are feeling, because really all of them are going to help. I think, you know, if you're not ready to address like the sleep, you know, you're just like, I just work and I go to bed right at, you know, as soon as I shut my laptop, you know, then just be honest with yourself that you're not really ready yet to work on that. But once you work on one of them and you feel the difference, then you start thinking like, oh, well, if I'm feeling better because I hydrated better this week, then maybe I should look into the sleep part. And, you know, so just pick them one at a time and address them, and, you know, just make those, even if you said you were a 3 on the motion, just how can you get that to a 5 or a 6 and just make that little improvement. So whatever you are most willing to do.
I love it. And, you know, they do say that if you're healthy, you can have a million wishes and a million hopes and a million dreams. And if you are unhealthy, you only have one hope and one dream, right? So taking care of this matters for building aspirations of all kinds. So aspiring women achieving more. Thank you for joining us today. Jacki, thank you for your sage advice.
Thank you so much for having me. It was
Very
awesome
cool.
to see you ladies.
Yeah, make sure you find her on social media. And for the recording, Jacki, I'll get the best place, those links from you to be able to post. So
yep, you got it.
Thank you, everyone. Have a really great day.
All right. Bye, everyone.